أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, all praises to Allah, the Creator of the universes and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers, and may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His prophets, the last of His messengers, and His holy progeny. And in particular, may His spatial, ever-flowing blessings be on the immediate successor to the Holy Prophet, on Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Yesterday, I presented or attempted to present a picture of what exactly transpired at the Saqifa Bani Sa'da when the appointment of Abu Bakr as the Khalif of the Muslims was organized to be made. Well, I use those words, and I expressly use the word appointment, because customarily the word used is election. What is being stated is that Abu Bakr was elected by the people. And this suggestion is very attractive, because it gives the impression, it gives the semblance of there being fair play, being fairness, that the people gathered and the leader whom they elected was the leader of the Muslims. Of course, from our point of view, from Islamic point of view, from the point of view of the method in which all the prophets came, the method is defective. Because the argument is that only Allah can appoint. So election by the people, even if there was one, is irrelevant. But what I was seeking to put to the youths was that in fact there was no election. And to prove that there was no election, I have set out those facts. Now you can judge for yourselves whether there was an election at all. Because what happened was that one group wanted their candidate, another group put forward their candidate. Ultimately, a third group decided they will make sure that there is division between the two, so that they are not oppressed, the Aus. And in the meantime, whilst all that was happening, Omar goes forward stretches the hand of Abu Bakr and says, I make you bay'ah, you are the Khalif. I suggest to you that the inference, the irresistible inference that you can draw from this is only one, that Abu Bakr was appointed Khalif by Umar. I do not see that any other conclusion from those facts becomes legitimate or logical. Indeed, the facts I put to you were only from one source, the Tabari source, the Sunnite Tabari source. And I selected Tabari, as I've said before, for the reason that that is the encyclopedic leading Sunnite historical work that has been translated into English. And I read to you passages from the English translation, the approved English translation of Tabari. But when you look at Ibn Athir, the work, for example, on which I was relying throughout last year, on the biography of the Holy Prophet, may peace be upon him and his family, when you examine that, you find that when the Ansars said, very well, if the Quraysh will not accept us as a leader, let us have two leaders. One from the Quraysh, who will be the leader of the Quraysh, and one from us, who will be our leader. Umar's reply was, there cannot be two swords in one sheath. When that was said, a representative of the Ansars, according to Ibn Athir, a leading Sunnite work, immediately stood up and said, very well, if that is the contention, that there must be only one leader, and if the contention is that that leader must be a Quraysh, then our candidate for that leadership is Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he is the most entitled to that post from any angle. I was discussing yesterday, and I gave you yesterday the reasons for which Abu Bakr was appointed. And I hope I manifestly showed that even on the basis of those reasons, Imam Ali alayhi salam was more entitled. That is precisely what the Ansar said, and immediately that was uttered. Umar thought any more discussion now may well mean that their say will not occur, and he stretched the hand of Abu Bakr and made the bay'ah. That is what Ibn Athir says. The first principle of elections is that the entire electorate be involved in it. At Saqifa of Bani Sa'ada, there was but a limited number of people who were deciding from amongst themselves. That could not be an election. In any event, a cardinal principle of election is that all candidates have a fair play. One legitimate candidate throughout was Imam Ali alayhi salam. Indeed, even in his khutbah in the mosque in Medina, Umar himself declared that we knew that if there was delay, then those who are following Ali would have nominated him. In fact, he had already been nominated according to Ibn Athir. And that is why you notice, but I did not make a point of this yesterday because it is so well known, that immediately after the speech in Masjid al-Nabawi, and people having already been made bay'ah, the first step taken was that Imam Ali alayhi salam was called over to make a bay'ah. Why single him out then? And the moment he declined to go to the mosque, there was a full deputation to his house, led by Abu Bakr and Umar themselves, did not enter the house, asked him to come out, and threatened to put the house on fire. Well recorded history in leading Sunnite sources too. Well, the fact that Imam Ali alayhi salam was singled out immediately shows that he was a live candidate, that he was a candidate who may well have succeeded. And it was then immediately thought that the success of Abu Bakr as a Khalif will only be determinate if Ali is quashed, if Ali is kept quiet. And look at the threat that was given to Imam Ali alayhi salam at that stage. The threat was indeed to Ibn Zubair Ibn Zubair was, according to Tabari, Ibn Zubair was with Imam Ali alayhi salam at that time in the house of Bibi Fatima salamullahi alayha. And when they were called out and Ibn Zubair came out, the threat from Umar was that either Imam Ali alayhi salam gives allegiance to Abu Bakr or else he should be killed. That was the threat. Ibn Zubair immediately drew his sword and said, if that is the contention, I am not making the bay'ah of Abu Bakr. I will only make bay'ah when bay'ah of Ali is taken and Ali is made the Khalif. Well, this is what Tabari reports in volume 9. And at that point in time, a squabble arose, and Imam Ali alayhi salam was dragged to the court. Other incidents took place, which insha'Allah, if Allah will, this we shall discuss next year when we discuss the biography of Janab Sayyida Salamullahi alayha. This is that part of history that is well accepted in Sunnite sources as well. Well, at the court, Imam Ali alayhi salam was asked to make a bay'ah. And when he was asked to make the bay'ah in public, in the court in Medina, in Masjid al-Nabawi, he preferred to remain silent. And when he remained silent, the immediate response came from Umar. And Umar says to Abu Bakr, if he does not make bay'ah now, kill him now. The reply of Abu Bakr was more cautious. You may even call it diplomatic, because he turns round to Umar, and those words are preserved in history. He says, "Oh Umar, so long as Fatima salamullahi alayha is alive, I will not murder, I will not kill Ali." Well, you may begin to wonder, what is the significance? How are those two acts committed? How are those two acts connected? Does Ali remain the brother of the Holy Prophet only so long as Bibi Fatima alayhi salam was alive? Does he cease to remain a brother of the Prophet after that? Indeed, earlier on, Imam Ali alayhi salam made this claim in that court. Earlier on, when asked, before the formal questioning about bay'ah, he was asked whether he would be prepared to make a bay'ah, and he said, I am more entitled to this place. He said it vividly on that very occasion. I am more entitled to this place because I am the brother of the Holy Prophet. This is before he was put in the dock to make the bay'ah. And the response Umar gave him then was, we don't recognize you as a brother of the Prophet. I don't know what that pronoun we stands for. We do not recognize you as a brother of the Prophet. Imam Ali alayhi salam remained quiet at that time. This is piety. That is piety. Because piety is to be able to act for Allah, wassalam, no other consideration, only for Him, through Him, towards Him, no other direction. And that was precisely his spirit. Because you remember, when Abu Sufyan came over and said, I will come and help, he said, since when are you a friend of Islam? Since when do you want to help Islam that I should accept help from you? So the consideration of Imam Ali alayhi salam was only Islam at that point in time. And he did not want to see the blood of Muslims flowing through the streets of Medina and elsewhere, because that battle would have spread over to a number of places, as indeed did happen. A number of people refused to recognize Abu Bakr in the provinces. A number of people refused to pay their khums, they refused to pay their zakat, and Abu Bakr had to send armies. Khalid bin Walid leading one, 11 different columns had to be sent out by Abu Bakr in order to get the people to obey the new government, as it were, because they were after rule, as is the word that we saw, to obey the new government and pay the legitimate dues. That was the way in which it was enforced. Now the question is that if bay'ah was to be achieved by election, one would have expected all candidates to be legitimately given an opportunity to stand for election. That is the first basis. Of course, the electorate is the first basis, which I've already covered. That's the point I just covered a few minutes ago. But then the candidates have to be given a fair chance. No candidate was given a fair chance. You heard yesterday how Sa'ad bin Nubada was treated. Indeed, he was trampled over. He protested to the last and did not make bay'ah until he died, to the last. Well, I say died. History shows that he was ultimately murdered in a very foul way in Syria in the 15th year, that is during the time of Umar. So, when were the candidates given a fair opportunity? Sa'ad bin Nuada was not given. The point of view of Ansars was not heard. When Imam Ali's name as a candidate was suggested at that Saqifa, that was overlooked. Abu Bakr had a candidate, and that candidate was Umar. He was also overlooked. So one can see quite clearly that there was no election. And finally, when the threat is that you make bay'ah or else you will be killed, that is totally contradictory to the concept of election. I am at pains to say this because those who wish to legitimize Abu Bakr's appointment seek to do so under the banner of election, because in this time and age, that is a beautiful word to utter. Shows fairness, that there is election and a person has been legitimately brought up. As I said before, not legitimate in a matter of divine appointment, but from the worldly angle at least. But one can see that there was no election of Abu Bakr on this point at all, from any angle whatsoever. I repeat, the conclusion which I submit to you is the only legitimate one, and that is that he, Abu Bakr, was appointed as Khalif by Umar, full stop, nobody else. But with his authority, he continued to remain a Khalif. There are times when one wonders whether Abu Bakr himself was convinced that he was the legitimate person to be the Khalif at that point in time. And that is, I say this because Suyuti, in his Tarikh al-Khulafa, a leading Sunnite scholar, says that one day Abu Bakr was sitting on the pulpit of the Holy Prophet delivering a sermon. And as there is a lot of space here, if you'd like to come over on this side, a lot of quiet room. He was delivering a khutbah from the pulpit, and suddenly Imam Hassan alayhi salam, a little boy then, perhaps 7 or 8 years old, he enters, goes right up to the pulpit facing Abu Bakr and says, "Oh Abu Bakr, come down, this is the place of my father." A little boy could say that and did. Says, "Come down, this is the place of my father." One would have liked to see the response of Abu Bakr. His immediate response says, "Yes, indeed, what you are saying is true. It is the place of your father." Comes down, picks up Imam Hassan alayhi salam, keeps him on his lap and starts weeping. Imam Ali alayhi salam immediately stood up because he thought that what was then correct ought to be done. He stood up and said, "Oh Abu Bakr, take it from me that he has not been taught to do this." And Abu Bakr immediately says, "Ya Ali, I am sure what you are telling is true. You at least have not taught him to do this." Because until then Imam Ali alayhi salam remained totally quiet and did not interfere with the Khilafah. But that he had two views about his own actions is clear when he was on his deathbed. Because then, according to Tabari, and this you will find in volume 11 at page 149, he says there are three things which I am unhappy about. I will not take you into those details. I wish I had not done it. And one of the three which he says is, I wish that I had not thrown open the house of Fatima to reveal something, even if they had locked it with a hostile intent. I had the courage earlier on to say that what happened at the house of Fatima, which inshallah we may discuss next year, is acknowledged by all leading historians. But even when his tenure of office became over, because he was overtaken by sickness, and in about 2 years, in the 13th Hijrah, having been appointed a Khalif in the 11th Hijrah in Rabiul Awwal, in Jamadi Thani of the 13th Hijrah, so in about 2 years, 2 months and a few days, Abu Bakr reached a stage at which he thought he was in his last days. It is curious then to know how he deals with the question of Khilafah. What happens next? And you will be surprised that what happens next is even more dictatorial than what happened before. Now, even that word election cannot be used, because what happened was that he, according to Tabari, consulted two people. He called Abdurrahman bin Auf and informed him, and Abdurrahman bin Auf immediately knew what it was, and informed him that he was feeling very sick and he felt that his days were coming to close. Having said that, he says to Abdurrahman bin Auf, what do you think of Umar? Well, the subject therefore was very open and political, as Abdurrahman bin Auf was. He immediately understood what the question was, and he said, yes, but Umar has roughness in him. By God, a better man than your opinion of him, but there is roughness in him. So Abu Bakr realized that that is what Abdurrahman bin Auf did. He excuses Umar for it. He says, oh, that is entirely because in these days he feels I am weak, and hence he showed roughness. The second person, so he did not get a conclusive favorable opinion from Abdurrahman bin Auf. The second person he consults is Uthman bin Affan, and he mentions to Uthman and says to Uthman that if Umar were to refuse to take this post, then I might consider you, which clearly means that by now Abu Bakr thought it was his property, that Khilafah was a matter of his jurisdiction. He could appoint whomsoever he liked. And literally says to Uthman, if Umar will say no, then I will consider appointing you. And Uthman said, well, I appreciate your feelings about appointing Umar. And so the matter proceeds from there. He asks Abu Bakr, and this is in all sources, Abu Bakr asks Uthman to write what he was dictating to him. And he managed to dictate Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So that is what Uthman writes. In the name of God, all compassionate, merciful. This is what Abu Bakr bin Abi Quhafa has enjoined on the Muslims. The word used is enjoined, commanded, ordered. That is how you would interpret the word enjoined. So he is using, as it were, the last word. Now then, and then there are dots. At this point he fainted. So, and it was a long unconsciousness. So Uthman got a little worried that, well, if he does not recover, then what? So Uthman then wrote, now then I have appointed Umar bin Khattab as my successor over you. I have not neglected the best among you. I have not neglected the best among you. This is now the writing of Uthman. In due course, he gains consciousness. And when he gains consciousness, he asks Abu Bakr to read what he had written. And when Abu Bakr reads that, he says, may God bless you. That is exactly what I wanted to. He says, God is greater. I see that you were afraid that the people would quarrel if I died suddenly in my coma. Uthman says, yes. And Abu Bakr says, may God reward you kindly for the sake of Islam and its people. And when Abu Bakr died, and he soon after that died, when he died after that, indeed, the very day Umar assumed the Khilafah on the basis of that piece of paper that Abu Bakr had written, dictated to him by Abu Bakr. If that glorious word election had any meaning in 11 AH, how did it come to lose that meaning in 2 years? Hence you will see that the conclusion to which I was inviting you must be the legitimate and indeed the only conclusion you can reach on that particular subject. Now, the question is, the theme appears to be that one Khalif can appoint another. But let us move on. I do not wish in these sittings to discuss lives of the other Khalifs, because that is not the agenda you have given me. We're discussing the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And it is only in this context, in that context, that these matters are considered. Well, the Khalif Umar, he remained for a while. He remained until the year 25 AH. And then in the year 25 AH, as you know, he was assassinated, murdered by Abu Lulu. And I do not want to take you into that history. Tonight is not the occasion for it anyway. From there, the position was that he now has to deal with the question of Khilafah. One would have thought that by now the Commonwealth has settled. By now electoral rolls could be distributed. By now poll papers could be distributed. Ballot papers could be distributed, and people could be told, make your candidates and let us now have an election. Oh no, there was no election then either. There was, I submit to you and leave you to take your decision, that there was yet another appointment. I say this, he calls, now I am making these points to you, I'm relying on information contained again in Tabari in volume 14. And it's at page 91. There Tabari sets out what Umar did. He carved out, his scheme was not as open and straightforward as that of Abu Bakr, that I appoint Umar. That was naked appointment. He does it in a more clever way. Appointment it was, but he does it in a more clever way. He says, I will appoint a delegation. I will consider who are suitable candidates. One could say, what right do you have to consider who the suitable candidates are? On what authority do you assume that power to dominate these candidates and then to select from amongst them? But then, if you can see, Umar was a person who would immediately order death on a person who disobeys. You could not have expected more from him. Do you remember when the leader of the Ansar said, I will not accept? Umar wanted to trample on his head. And he said to the people, may God slay you, may God kill you. He wanted to do that. When Imam Ali alayhi salam declined to make bay'ah, he tells Abu Bakr, kill him now. When ultimately the speech is made in the court in Medina, he says anybody who does not accept this appointment of Abu Bakr should be killed. That is the basis on which Umar proceeds, and that is the basis on which he proceeded in selecting these 6 people. And he selected Abdurrahman bin Auf, Uthman, Ali, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. He selected Zubair, selected Talha, and Ibn Abi Waqqas. 6 people. And he tells Talha was not in town. So he says 5, and if Talha comes in within 3 days, he could also be included. And he says to Abdurrahman bin Auf, you call these 6 and have a consultative meeting to decide who of these should be the Khalif. And if there are 3 on one side and 3 on the other, then my son Muhammad bin Umar, he can mediate. That is all. He can mediate between the parties. But ultimate right of deciding will be yours. In other words, Abdurrahman bin Auf has a casting vote. As simple as that. And immediately Imam Ali alayhi salam was told this. He says, this is fake. This is fake. There is nothing in it. Because the position will be this, that Abdurrahman bin Auf has married Uthman's sister. He's a brother-in-law. And Ibn Abi Waqas is a cousin of Abdurrahman bin Auf. So Umar so organized that these 3 are already in one camp. The other camp now is Imam Ali with Zubair, because Talha was not there. But just in case Talha comes back, the casting vote is given to Abdurrahman bin Auf. It was as clear and as naked as that. But in order to camouflage it under the scheme of having a consultative committee, this is the kind of scheme that he contrived. Hence, when Abdurrahman bin Auf called everybody, Imam Ali alayhi salam went. Indeed, according to some sources, Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of the Holy Prophet, went to Imam Ali and said, don't go to this consultative meeting. Imam Ali alayhi salam decided he would go. He said, if I don't go, then tomorrow the criticism will be on me that I myself abandoned and abdicated my rights. As the youth is today asking, why did Imam Ali alayhi salam maintain silence? I hope I will sum that up tomorrow in its entirety, so that we complete that question before we embark upon study of the Khilafah of Imam Ali alayhi salam during his time. Not only the problems he had, Jamal and Siffin and Nahrawan and the Kharajites, not only that, but also to see how he contrived a method, a system of administration of the government that even the world today would envy. There are provisions in his system of government which he proclaimed, and it is all in writing till today, that the world today, 14 centuries later, has not been able to achieve. But we shall discuss that, inshallah, more peacefully, particularly when these nights which are heavy on us because of the significance they carry will already have been passed, with Allah accepting our efforts, inshallah. Well, Imam Ali alayhi salam decided it would be impolitical for him not to attend, so he did. And when he attended, that is precisely what he saw. Abdurrahman bin Auf, they were given 3 days to resolve the matter. And Abdurrahman bin Auf in one of the sessions said, is there anybody who wants to give up his candidacy? And directly referred to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam declined to give up the candidacy. So Abdurrahman bin Auf says, I am giving up my candidacy. And my cousin Ibn Waqas gives up his candidacy. So now 2 candidates are out. And when 2 candidates are out, a stage is reached when they too vote for Uthman. And now there are only 2 candidates left. That is Uthman and Imam Ali alayhi salam. When that happens, he could have used his casting vote. But he does not use his casting vote in the consultative meeting. He calls an entire session of the Madanites. The Madanites gather in Masjid al-Nabawi, and there Abdurrahman bin Auf calls upon Imam Ali and says, are you prepared to take an oath that if I appoint you, my Lord, look at the language used, that if I appoint you the Khalif, you will conduct the affairs of the Khilafah in accordance with the Book of Allah, in accordance with the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet, and in accordance with the Sunnah of the 2 Khalifs who have preceded you. Now you can see how impossible he makes the situation for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, I will, according to Tabari, which I have stuck to and I continue to do so, according to Tabari, his answer was that I will administer the Khilafah according to my best judgment. According to my best judgment. According to our sources, he said, I will conduct the Khilafah, of course, according to the dictates of Allah and according to the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. But insofar as the Sunnah of my predecessors are concerned, I will use my best judgment. Uthman, on the other hand, and Imam Ali was asked first. Uthman, on the other hand, gave immediate answer. Are you prepared that if you are appointed the Khalif, then you will administer the Khilafah on the basis of the Book of Allah, the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet, and the Sunnah of the two preceding Khalifas? And his answer was, yes, I undertake to do so. And immediately he is appointed the Khalif. So you can see that that question of election is now, even the claim that there was is totally gone. The question of the Khalif appointing directly is now camouflaged. And even that consultative committee acts in a predestined, pre-designed manner to frustrate any other candidate and make sure that the candidate of Umar's choice becomes the successor. I paused, you notice, because a thought occurred to me, which I felt I must share with you. That when we are talking of the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet, with regard to Uthman, one of the criticisms of Uthman during his time publicly by the public was that he was not following the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. He was, and indeed, the commands of Allah. He recited more rak'ah in Mina and in Arafah than the Holy Prophet did. Indeed, he made up so much bid'ah that the people said this cannot be a representative of Islam because he is acting exactly contrary to the rules of the Holy Prophet. Indeed, he was also accused of not having followed the Sunnah of the two Khalifs before him in that respect. The final point I want to make on that is this. The injunction from Umar was that if after that appointment anybody, one of those six or any other person, at any time decided to disagree with the decision that Abdurrahman bin Auf would reached, he should be liable to immediate assassination, immediate execution. I keep wondering from what source these people derive that authority. From what source do they derive that authority? If one becomes a murtad, yes, questions of execution can arise. The sort of question that arose recently with respect to Salman Rushdie. But how in these circumstances can a person be said to be liable to execution only because he does not accept a certain person? In other words, what was being set up under the name of the Holy Prophet was a totalitarian regime. That is what was called upon. That is what the people were called upon to accept. But let us get on to see what happened with Uthman and how Imam Ali alayhi salam, which as you all know became their fourth Khalif, came to be appointed. When Uthman came in power, in no time dissatisfaction arose. And I will not take you into the causes of this dissatisfaction because I will digress. And because there is a catalogue of 17 grounds of dissatisfaction, not one or two. How many can I tell you even quickly? You do not have 17 minutes even to listen to one complaint in a minute. And I will not take you into them. The only what I want to discuss is the consequence of those dissatisfactions. That is relevant to you because, as we shall see next week inshallah, immediately Imam Ali alayhi salam was almost unanimously made a Khalif by the people themselves. Immediately that happens, there is an uproar, there is an uprising against him on the ground that he was involved in the murder of Uthman. Now that was sheer nonsense, as we shall see next week. But in order to be able to see it more clearly next week, when we say that it is sheer nonsense, I want to give you the background tonight of what is it that led to his murder and who killed him and why. The first point in dissatisfaction was that with those catalogue of 17 matters of dissatisfaction, the people of different provinces went to their governors and said, we're dissatisfied about this, we're dissatisfied about that, and even those governors, their appointment was a subject of controversy itself, because what Uthman did was, he removed the governors who were there in the provinces and appointed his own relatives and cousins. Indeed, he brought Hakam back and appointed the son of Hakam, Marwan bin Hakam, who himself ultimately became a Khalif of the Muslims. That Marwan bin Hakam, he appointed as his secretary. Hakam and Marwan were people whom the Holy Prophet had banished from Medina and from the Islamic Commonwealth. And hence, even Umar and Abu Bakr did not give Hakam any appointment. But Uthman did. They were related. And then he made Marwan his son-in-law. He gave him his daughter in marriage. Gave him 100,000 dinars. Indeed, the Fadak that was confiscated from Bibi Fatima alayha salam was given to Marwan bin Hakam by Uthman. People were immensely distressed and disappointed. The governors now, who were appointees of Uthman, would not take any action either. And hence, there was a huge delegation of people that moved into Medina and wanted to create problems. Now, Tabari reports, and I will not again use any other source, using Tabari, volume 15 this time, at page 143, because it is in English, and you can verify what I am putting across to you. Tabari says that Imam Ali alayhi salam at that stage goes to Uthman. Call it Amr bil Ma'ruf, call it what you will. The accepted fact is that Imam Ali alayhi salam goes to Uthman, and according to Tabari, he tells Uthman, look, this is what is happening. It is wrong. It will cause you problems. And these fellows whom you have appointed are not listening to people. People are complaining. The result will be that you could be in trouble. You have been weak and easygoing with your relatives. And Uthman says, yes, but Umar kept Muawiyah in office throughout his entire caliphate, and Muawiyah was no less a person, and there was a relationship. And Imam Ali alayhi salam says, yes, Umar did keep Muawiyah, but Ali also kept a watch on Muawiyah, and Muawiyah was afraid of Umar. With you, these people are not afraid of you at all. In fact, even Muawiyah is doing what he likes, as he likes. There is dissatisfaction in Syria, and does it all in your name. And hence, this is wrong. And it will cause you a lot of difficulties if you do not put these things right. But Uthman, having heard all that from Imam Ali alayhi salam, and having said that Imam Ali left, having heard all that, the next day goes onto the pulpit and addresses the Muslims. Says, why are you harassing me? Why are you complaining against me? He says, by God, you have surely blamed me for things like those which you accepted from Ibn al-Khattab, which is Umar. But he trampled you underfoot, smote you with his hand, and subdued you by his tongue, and you submitted to him whether you liked it or not. That is a description of Umar from Uthman. This is no Shiite speaking. This is Uthman speaking about how Umar conducted his rule. The point at issue, however, was that if Uthman was saying that that was wrong, it befell on him to serve and satisfy his people, which he did not do. The first point I wanted to make to you therefore was that the moment Imam Ali alayhi salam senses dissatisfaction, instead of being pleased about it, because that was not his personality, to take any pleasure from a grief that might come to any other person. He goes to Uthman and gives him good counsel. First instance. Secondly, what happened after that was that people became dissatisfied, and a delegation of a number of people moved into Medina. Uthman did not know how to handle that situation, and therefore he decided he will seek help. And he thought the best person who can speak to those Egyptians was Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he calls Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam did not join that group to express dissatisfaction. He went to speak to that group with Muhajirun on behalf and at the behest of Uthman. He went and explained to them and told them that he had a meeting with Uthman himself because of his standing and because people believed the word of Ali. The word was enough. That word would never be wrong. If Ali says he has talked to Uthman, they accepted that. And he told them that he is satisfied Uthman, and Uthman will put things now right. And then, having said that to them, indeed the people were satisfied, and they said, very well, we will give opportunity to Uthman to put right as you have advised us. And they were prepared to leave. Imam Ali alayhi salam goes back to Uthman and says, he informed him that they had gone, and said to him some things which were on his mind. This is what Tabari reports. Know that I am saying more about you than I have said previously. And he went home. Uthman does nothing. He did not follow Imam Ali's advice, and he did nothing about it. The next thing was that another delegation comes, now a greater delegation, which says to, and again Uthman stuck, calls Imam Ali alayhi salam for help. Again Imam Ali alayhi salam does not say, I am happy that all these problems arise to you. Indeed, Imam Ali alayhi salam for the second time goes out to the people. This time, of course, it was tougher, because the people said, Ya Ali, you told us to go away, so we went away. We followed you. We have no time for Uthman. And look at what he did. He has done nothing about it. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, yes, you're quite right. And I appreciate your point of view, but you cannot embark upon the house of the Khalif in this way, because there will be chaos and disorder in Islam. For the sake of Islam, therefore, I want to bring about peace between you two. I have taken a note of all the points you have made. I will make out a document, a written document, which Uthman and his secretariat will sign, and which you sign, and which I will sign as a witness to the signatories, and the Muhajirun with me, they will sign as witnesses, and give Uthman 3 days. Because Imam Ali alayhi salam could not, in his own conscience, by the method he operated, allow these things to continue forever. Give him 3 days to put things right. People accepted even that. And a document was written out by Imam Ali alayhi salam himself. Very, very astute draftsman that he was. He set out all the terms that the people needed protection about. Uthman accepted them. The document was executed. The people left. Uthman now has 3 days. Within those 3 days, suddenly, and I will cut a long story very short, suddenly they arrest a person. They say, we have information that you are an emissary of Uthman. And that person denies. But they arrest him. They search him. And when they search him, they find a letter written from the office of Uthman. He was on the camel from the office of Uthman. And the letter bore the seal of Uthman. The letter was to the governors to say, these people are only creating problems here. When these people come back, arrest them all, torture them, lock them up, and make sure that anybody who supports them is locked up in good time, because I do not want a third delegation of people in Medina to cause me problems. So you can see how it became impossible to help Uthman. When that happened, and these people come back, this time they besieged Uthman's residence. Indeed, the siege on Uthman's residence lasted for 40 days. So you can see what a predicament that situation created. But you can now see why Imam Ali alayhi salam was keen to help Uthman, to avert a situation like that from coming about. And Imam Ali alayhi salam again went to Uthman and raised this question. Uthman's answer was, as for camel on which this man was, it was stolen. As for the writing, one man's handwriting may resemble another person's handwriting. And as to the seal on it, it was forged. Those people were not prepared to take that for an answer. They besieged that place and they gave him 3 options. I'm reading from Tabari. I'm not reading from one of our sources. And now I am at page 189. They gave him 3 options. Either do what you have promised in that document which Imam Ali alayhi salam had drafted. Secondly, abdicate. Or thirdly, be killed. That of course was in the hands of the people, because they were out to kill him if he did not do what they said or did not abdicate. And the rebels surrounded the house of Uthman. On one occasion Uthman came out on the balcony to speak to them, and as a leader of that group called Kathir bin Salt al-Kindi was speaking, one of the soldiers of Uthman took out an arrow and shot him. Now that was a fatal blow, and it was a fatal error on the part of Uthman, because when that happened, the people erupted. They said, now you are not only listening to us, you are killing our leader and our representative. And hence there was a battle at the door. People moved into the door. Marwan bin Hakam was wounded. They thought he's already killed and left him, but he survived. Indeed, he survived to be the Khalif of the time, of his time. This is after Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Well, a lot of people were injured in that episode, but the matter did not come to a close. The siege continued, and at that point in time, then, after those 4 points of assistance that I've set out to you, that Imam Ali alayhi salam rendered to Uthman, the siege became so severe that even water and food was not allowed to enter into the house of Uthman. Uthman now was really in a state of desperation. So he sent a word to a number of people, including Imam Ali alayhi salam, saying, I am in this state. What am I to do? According to Tabari, and you will find this at page 208, according to Tabari, Imam Ali alayhi salam set out immediately from his house. How can you accuse him of wanting to kill Uthman? He set out from his house immediately, went to these people. These are riotous people. They are rebels who are out to kill Uthman, who are dissatisfied with the Muslim administration of their commonwealth. But Imam Ali alayhi salam addresses them and says, "O people, neither believers, mu'mineen, nor unbelievers, the kafirs, act like this. Do not cut off supplies from this man. The Romans and the Persians give food and drink to their captives. This man did not resist you, so how can you think it lawful to besiege him and kill him?" He's not only telling them, give him water, he's telling them, don't besiege him. It's not lawful for you to do so, and don't kill him. This is exactly the negation of the allegation that they put on Imam Ali alayhi salam. In fact, he was there telling the people publicly, do not kill him. And Uthman heard it. The secretariat of Uthman heard it. Indeed, Tabari has reported it. All historians have reported it. When he says, no, by God, when he says all this to them, they say, no, by God, we will show no mercy. We will not let him eat or drink. Tabari then says, then Ali alayhi salam threw down his turban in the house and said, I have done what you asked me to do, and went home. Tabari reports two other people were asked to assist. Aisha was asked to assist and point blank refused to assist. Habiba was asked to assist and did assist. But when she went there, her mule was assaulted and the mule was was turned away and she went away. However, according to Ibn Qutayba, according to Ibn Athir, leading Sunnite historians, what Imam Ali alayhi salam did when the people refused to give Uthman drink and water, he sent Hasanain alayhim salam. They must be in their early 30s now, with mashks of water and water skins full of water were sent from the house of Imam Ali alayhi salam to the state house of Uthman, so that Uthman should have drink and water. And this is reported not in Tabari but in a number of Sunnite sources. Not in the Arabic of Tabari, I am told, but I haven't verified that it is in the Persian edition of Tabari. But be that as it may, if it is not, it is in these other sources, and it is also in Suyuti. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, apart from telling the people don't kill him, when he feared that Uthman had no water, even sent water to the house of Uthman. Nothing new for Imam Ali alayhi salam to do that. That is behavior totally consistent with the conduct of Imam Ali alayhi salam. That is precisely how he would have been expected to behave at that point in time, when he was told that somebody did not have water. And we will see how he behaved with Muawiyah in a battlefield in which he was involved, in which Muawiyah was an enemy. He had control of Furat, and when Muawiyah complained of water, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, yes, you have free access to the water in Furat. It is Muawiyah's son Yazid who in Karbala refused access of water to the family of Imam Ali alayhi salam, to his son and his progeny. But before I go to Karbala, I would like to finish this part of it. Yet Uthman does nothing. And when Uthman did nothing, the people ultimately decided that they will revolt, they will enter the house and they will kill him. Because they gave him two options. He would not put things right. He would not abdicate. He said, no, I will not abdicate. I will not. In his words. And I'd like to put these words to you so that you know exactly what kind of people we were dealing with. He said, I will not remove the shirt that Allah has put on me. So that was their equivalence of the Khilafah in respect of the Muslim Ummah. A shirt that Allah put onto him. However, when the people entered, history records name by name of the people who entered, and Imam Ali alayhi salam was not in that group at all. One of those mornings, according to one source, Uthman goes on the balcony and says, is Talha there? And Talha was found there. And Uthman says, I said salam. Talha, you did not reply. It is wajib to reply a salam. Talha said, I did, but you did not hear me. Ibn Waqas, he was there. They were all there in that group of mutineers who wanted to mutiny. Ali alayhi salam was not there. And then we have Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr. He was there. Indeed, he went into the house. He was sent to kill Uthman. He went in, did not kill him, because Uthman made statements which made him go out. Indeed, there are names of 4 people, Banu Layth, Muhammad bin Abu Bakr, Qutayra al-Sukuni, all who went in and came out. Ultimately, Sudan bin Hamran al-Sakuni went in, and he actually managed to get into the room of Abu Bakr. Sudan bin Hamran is a person whose name is literally given in the books as the person who ultimately killed Uthman. Uthman kept Quran in between. One of the allegations against him was that he did not follow Quran in his lifetime. But when the sword was there nearing him, he put Quran and asked Sudan, will you cross the Quran to kill me? Will you cross the Quran to inflict this wound on me? We will see how, next week inshallah, how Muawiyah raised Quran when a time came when he was losing Siffin. So you can see how leaders of Islam have used Quran when it suited them. Yet this person jumps across and kills Uthman. And when Uthman was killed, and his family decided that he should be buried, Tabari reports people did not even allow him to be buried, not in Baqi, and they threw stones at Uthman's body. Now, Tabari says, this is at page 246, when Uthman's body was brought out before the people, they stoned his coffin and were bent on throwing him on the ground. When Ali heard that, he sent and demanded that they leave him alone. On Ali's calling, they left the body alone, and Uthman's body was hurried along and interred in Hashash Qawab. When Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan gained supremacy over the Muslims, he ordered that enclosure to be raised and Uthman's body be transferred to Baqi. When you hear today that Uthman is in Baqi, you can now see the circumstances in which his body was transferred by Muawiyah to Baqi. Otherwise, he was not buried there. Tomorrow, inshallah, we shall see the consequence of all this and how the people decided they should deal with the situation, and how Imam Ali alayhi salam was literally forced into office. But that is the way Imam Ali alayhi salam dealt with Uthman. And as I said a few moments ago, he decided that whatever the complaints against Uthman, if he was without water, even the Jews, even the Romans, even the Persians of the time who were inflicting torture would not keep their people without drink or water. Yazid decided that Hussein's small band, including little children, camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, became obliged to start the battle. Indeed, not to start the battle, but to start defending themselves when they were attacked by the army of Yazid. And from morning, Imam Hussein alayhi salam became engrossed in meeting the situation as and the shape in which it arose. But since morning, his son, 18 years old, Shahzada Ali Akbar, became busily involved with his father. As I look into the history of Karbala and the events of that day, I wonder if there was any person more involved with Hussein alayhi salam than his son Ali Akbar. One sees him involved from the day his father left Medina all through. But confining ourselves to the day of Ashura, one finds that in every battle he was involved. The first battle that took place, Ali Akbar alayhi salam was involved in it. And from that point onwards, one finds that the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam start going to the battlefield. And at every stage when each companion announced to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Ya Mawlai Adrikni, Imam Hussein alayhi salam decided he would go to the body of each companion and bid farewell to each companion personally. Shahzada Ali Akbar always accompanied Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So when Imam Hussein alayhi salam was bidding farewell to his bosom childhood friend Habib ibn Mazahir, Ali Akbar was there. Ali Akbar not only felt the pain of the departure of Habib ibn Mazahir Zafar, he could see and feel the pain that Imam Hussein alayhi salam felt on the departure of such a close friend. Muslim ibn Awsaja went, Zuhair went, Sa'id went, and on the body of each one of them, Imam Hussein went, and Shahzada Ali Akbar did not allow him to be alone on the body of each one of them. But even after all that happened, the turn came of the kith and kin to make their sacrifices. And you've heard how Abdullah bin Muslim was sacrificed when Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to the body of Abdullah. Shahzada Ali Akbar was with him. Indeed, when he went on the body of Aoud and Muhammad to bid farewell to those nephews, Shahzada Ali Akbar was along with him. Indeed, he carried one of the bodies of one of the two brothers to the tent. Then when the turn of Qasim came, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam went to the body of Qasim to see how that body was turned into pieces, Shahzada Ali Akbar was there. He witnessed it all. Indeed, history records that when Imam Hussein alayhi salam spread his abba to take the pieces of the body of Shahzada Qasim, Shahzada Ali Akbar was with him, and he too participated in picking the pieces and joining the body of Shah Qasim from the body of Karbala. And then when that time came for Imam Hussein alayhi salam to be on the body of Abbas alayhi salam, Shahzada Ali Akbar was there. What must he have felt on seeing that parting time between brother and brother who always was so close. Indeed, a brother for whom Imam Hussein then said, "Oh Abbas, you have never called me brother. You always called me master. At least call me brother now as you leave, when I only have perhaps a couple of hours to live in this world." What would Ali Akbar have felt then when he heard Abbas say, "Oh Hussein, clean my eyes so that at least I see you for the last time before I go." What pain would Ali Akbar have suffered? And when it came for him to go and comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and says, "Father, let me go." This is exactly what Imam Hussein says. He says, "Oh my son Akbar, how will you let me go? You have seen this morning what I have gone through. Will you also now leave me alone on this battlefield?" And Akbar says, "Oh father, what choice have I got? I cannot leave you unhelped. You make the istighatha. Hal min nasirin man yansuruna. Is there anybody who will help me? I am here, your beloved son, to help you." And Imam Hussein says, "Akbar, when I wanted to see the Prophet, I would see you. Will you also now leave me? But Akbar, if you have to go, if that is the will of Allah, do go. But as you go, go slowly. Mahlan, mahlan, ya waladi. Oh my son, move step by step so that I can keep seeing you, and turn your face behind so that I can see you again and again before you go." Indeed, when the time came for Shahzada Ali Akbar to be on the ground and to have his last minutes, he did not call his father. All he said, to enable him to know that he is going, he sent his last salutation, "Assalamu alayka ya abadi, Assalamu alayka ya Abdullah." My salutation to you, because now I am departing from you also. But Imam Hussein alayhi salam went along to the body of Shahzada Ali Akbar. Now Imam Hussein, on the body of his 18-year-old son, is lonely. There isn't Abbas with him. There isn't Akbar with him. Imam Hussein alone kneeling with his son. And when he parted, Imam Hussein did not even know how to carry that body to the tent. Bibi Zainab alayhi salam noticed the plight of her brother. She comes out and Imam Hussein says, "Oh Zainab, may Allah bless you for it, but how in my lifetime can I accept that you should be here? You go back to the tent." Bibi Zainab alayhi salam obeys the order of the Imam. Now the Imam alayhi salam has the body of his son. The body, according to Hamid ibn Muslim, became elongated. Imam Hussein alayhi salam could not even carry it. He pressed the breast of Ali Akbar to his breast and commenced carrying it. Bibi Zainab alayhi salam notices this from the tent. She sends little children, mu'mineen, were sent out from the tent so that they help Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And it is with the help of these little children that the body of Ali Akbar is brought to the tent, so that the mother of Ali Akbar, so that Bibi Zainab alayhi salam are able to bid them. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة.